In this Corel Painter tutorial, we're going to see what you can do if your brush is not working. There are many different possibilities for it to happen, and some of them are quite simple, and you're going to think even it's silly, but it happens quite often, and some of them are a bit intricate. So I'm going to help you out to figure out why your brush is not working. The thing that I do after many years of working with Painter is to follow a line of observation on my screen. So I start on the left side, then go to the upper part from the screen, and then at the end I check all the layers. So starting with the possibility of you not having the brush on. Well, believe me, I have been working on the university with many different students. Sometimes this really happens. So check if you're not on the eraser. Can happen. So if you're not on the eraser, if you're really on the brush, go to the top and check out which kind of brush you have on. Some brushes are just mixing the colors underneath it. Some other brushes are really adding color. So I'm just selecting a brush like Conte and Oil Conte. And we can see that we have a quite large brush, but the opacity, well, I'm just pressing Restore Default. And we can see that the opacity is quite high, but if your opacity is on 0, there is no paint coming out. So check up opacity, bring it up a bit higher, and then it should be working. Or if you have resaturation on 0, you won't be painting anything either. So resaturation and opacity should be on a positive kind of number and not on 0. Moving forward, check up as well the color. So if I have white, in this case it's working fine. But moving to the layers, we can see that this is actually a standard layer. And if I would have a gel layer and I would stop painting with white, we would not really see much. And not just the gel layer, but multiply layer as well. So it would probably kind of make some changes in the area where you had some color. But if you had no color at all around, then no color is going to be seen, since we have these two layer qualities, which makes all the white become transparent. So moving back to standard, we can see now that we have some paint in there. I'm going to delete this layer, and I'm going to select the layer underneath it. But very often, if I stop painting and I cannot see anything, you should really check in which layer you're painting. What I do very often is, while I have the brush on, I hold the Command key and then I click on the area that I would like to paint, and then I start painting again. And like this, I know that I should see what I'm painting. Check up if your layer is visible. This is a point as well. So you have here a nice symbol, and if this layer is not visible and I have it selected, I can try to paint on top of it. Actually now Painter's just kind of scream saying, check out, you're working on an invisible layer. So this is already quite good, but if you have older versions from Painter, this is not going to be showing. Another possibility would be as well to have Save Transparency on. So you have this lock symbol on the left top part from your layer palette. And in this case, you would be able to paint inside of the areas in which you have already a pixel in color. But if you would try to paint outside of it, no color would come up. So if you have the impression something is strange because I can't paint here on top, but I'm not painting outside of it, or maybe you have a new layer and then you won't be able to be painting at all because all the information in this layer is still transparent. I'm turning off Save Transparency mode and I'm going back to the layer with a turquoise circle, and in this case, if I have used Selection tool and I zoom in, you can see that I cannot see the selection active. because it's a tiny selection somewhere on the screen. You can see it's down here, and this is enough for me to have no color coming through my brush. So just in case, sometimes I just press Command D, or if you would like to go here on the top bar, you can just go to the second option and selection none, and in this case it should stop painting again. Another option would be if you have a mask on. Going back to the mask, and I've just masked a certain area, and if I go with the same black now on the layer and I try to paint in here, you won't be able to see anything, and the brush is not going to paint because you're painting on the masked part from your illustration. So I'm going to mixing brushes. You can see they're all kind of orange, and this means that they're always working on the pixels that already exist, and you can see that nothing happens. Well, you are on a layer without any color, and if you would like it to really be mixing the colors, you need to go to pick up underlying color, and then you would have this brush working. At least it should be working. It's not working very strongly, but now here you have it. So pick up underlying color is going to allow you to work with the colors from the layers underneath it without destroying any information from this layer. Okay, so if you have a brush and actually you have the blue color selected, right? And you should be painting in blue, but it's not really painting in blue. It's painting in a kind of strangey orange color. Maybe you should go then to Window, Media, and here you have Patterns, in German called Muster, or Command 8 or Command 8, and you can get the pattern library, and here you can see that you're going to be painting with the colors from the pattern selected in this library, and this happens actually when you have the stamp on. So if you turn this off and you see that the colors are back again, they're not gray scaled, like you can see on and off, they're gray, so it means that I'm picking up the color from somewhere else and not from my color palette. You just need to go on the stamp again, and you're going to have your blue color that you have on the color wheel active again for you to be painting. Another option would be if, for example, instead of having the color changing, in German it's called Farbänderung active, you have the possibility here, if you press on further mechanics from the brush, you have the possibility here to go to the last box of it and select color changes. I don't know the name of it in English actually, but I hope you can find it. And here you have the possibility of having on hue, saturation, value. In German it's called Farbe, Sättigung und Wert, or RGB, or picking up color from, I'm missing the word just now. And you can get the colors from the color palette. So if I go up here, we see that I have one color palette selected, and I'm going to have a brush that is going to be painting with all these colors. So if I would start a new palette, it would start painting with other colors, but still it's not the blue that we had selected before. So maybe this is as well something that is active on your brush. You can maybe just go here and select back to hue, saturation, value, or you press the restore default variant and you're going to have your brush working normally again. Another option why your brush could not be working, and this is very improbable, but it's an option, is if, for example, you have a brush. I have here like pencil realistic 2B, and I am on the general palette, and you have the depth type as an eraser. I'm just going to grab the new layer up here. I'm putting safe transparency quickly, and I'm just going to select a color that is going to give me some contrast or shoot, and I start working and it's just erasing everything. This could be an option. Well, the first option that I would use would be to restore default, and like this you can see that you're going to bring a lot of other things back to the normal. Even if you did something that you don't know where it is to find, go to restore brush. All this information very quickly. The first thing to do is check the brush. Is it working? Is it selected? Or is the eraser active? Then bring it back to the brush. Check which kind of brush you have, if it's adding paint or if it's just a mixing brush. Then move forward, see the opacity of it, if it's the right opacity. Then moving forward, if you don't know what's going on with the brush itself, go back to restore default brush, click it on that. Then I would press Command-D just to be sure that you did not select anything. I would go then to the colors, see if the stamp is grayscaled or if it's normal. If it's still okay and it's still not working, then I would go to the layers and I would check if you have safe transparency on and you're in a layer in which you just have transparency, or if you have a standard layer or maybe a gel layer and you're trying to work with white. And afterwards, if none of this is working, I would check then the other informations that I put in this tutorial, which are a little bit deeper. But actually, if you go in this quite quick look in your screen, you should find out where the problem is. And the other problems are kind of problems which are very hard to happen. So the very last option, and I would say the really panic option, I would really not recommend doing this, but if nothing is helping, nothing is working, you've checked everything that I explained to you right now, then I would check if I can paint on the canvas. If it's possible to be painting on the canvas, but it's not possible to be painting on any other layer, and you're sure that you don't have safe transparency on, you're really absolutely sure this is not on, and all of the other things that I just explained in this tutorial, then there is one last option. And like I said, I would not recommend doing this, because at the moment you do that, you're probably going to lose all of your input in the software. So all of your kind of palettes like that you did yourself, and all of your new brushes, your patterns, all of your color palettes, everything is going to be turned into the default version from Painter, as if you just reinstalled the software. So if you really need to do something before reinstalling the software, because it takes a little bit more time, you have one option, and it would be to go to Documents. Go to Documents. From Documents, you select Library. From Library, you go to Application Support. From Application Support, you select Corel. And from Corel, you go to Painter folder. And this Painter folder, you throw it in the trash bin and you empty it. And then you restart Painter, or maybe you just turn off Painter first, and then you restart Painter, and I hope it works. But this is really the very last option, because all of the other things that it brings into your computer, all of the good things that you had before, you can kind of save it first. Maybe it's better to export all of your brushes, all of your libraries, all of your patterns, put it in an extra folder so that you can import it back to your program again, okay? If you don't do this, everything you did before is going to be lost, but at least it's going to start painting again. But I hope it does not go that far. All right, wish you good luck and talk to you on the next tutorial. I hope I could help, And if you have any ideas why it could not be working and I did not list in this tutorial, just write it down on the comments. Maybe like this we can help other people to figure out why the brush is not working. Okay, bye-bye.